I asked the weeb community for 10 traits to make the perfect waifu, and this is what they came up with. Likes games. She likes anime. She collects figures. She's beautiful. Intelligent. Likes esports. That's quite specific. Long hair and girly. Sure, why not? Well spoken. Does cosplay. A complete weeb. There we have it. 10 traits. Never gonna happen. No girl has all of those qualities. I mean, get out of here. What the? Joanne Auctions joins us on the Miyazaki Man Podcast. Quite the build up for the lovely Joanne, but you know what? It's all true. Oh yeah. We bonded over our love of anime goods, weeb merch, anime figures, even gaming figures. We love our games as well. And speaking of weeb merch and goodies from Japan, you're going to want to check out BUNNIES. This is a service that allows you to shop at Rakuten, Amazon Japan, Mercari, Yahoo Auctions, procure all the anime figures and goodies that you could ever imagine. How does it work? You go onto their website, you sign up, use my custom link below for 2,000 yen off your first purchase. They will buy the product that you're interested in on your behalf. It could be Attack on Titan figurines, Shingeki no Kyojin if you want to type it in Japanese. It could be Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Nezuko figurines by Kotobukiya. It's all available. They will buy it on your behalf, they'll store it in their warehouse, they'll package it up and they'll ship it directly to your door when it's ready. It's the top service for procuring all goods from Japan. Highly recommend BUNNIES. When your boy Sai was in the UK, I had to get me some of those Street Fighter Kotobukiya figures like Chun-Li, like Kami. I had to get some manga as well, Vizbig Vagabond, Mega House One Piece figures, you name it, art books, and much, much more. So check out BUNNIES on the link below. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Miyazaki Man Podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by Joanne of ARC. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, no, much appreciated. So you've been traveling lately, right, for work?
Yes, I work in the esports gaming scene, and there's just a lot of travel involved because we do events around the world.
Absolutely, and they're like big productions as well. A lot of planning goes into it, a lot of hard work and preparation, but when the show kicks off, then everyone just tunes in straight away. Like, is it kind of thrilling to see everyone enjoying and really excited about that whole esports scene? Because it's really blown up in the last few years, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my first experience in like just going to an esports event, I was probably like just out of college, 2015-ish, and yeah, it was really surprising how many people go and like just the atmosphere and like how into like the game and everything is. It's really cool.
Absolutely, and a lot of these celebrities and big players are kind of larger than life, but when you meet them in person and you go to the events, they're really, really friendly. Like I spoke to Bjergsen, Doublelift, Froggen back in the day. They're all lovely people, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, we have to remember they are just people, and some are easier to work with than others. Like
Sure.
My past experience, I used to work as a referee at the LCS, so I worked closely, not super closely, but like I worked on stage with, like
Yes.
Bjergsen and like all the big names, and I stopped refereeing in about 2020 when I transitioned to my current job. So
Okay.
yeah.
Sure, makes sense. And I guess that completely leads into the anime kind of weeb scene as well, because into kind of esports, people kind of like the online gaming, they probably like the anime, the manga, the kind of Japanese scene as well. So how did you first get introduced and started with anime and manga?
Yeah, so it did actually start after I got into esports and gaming. So I worked with one of my colleagues. Her name is Avali, and she's like super into anime culture, and she got me to start watching. So I think my first anime that I really got into was My Hero Academia, and
Oh yes.
I liked how just like accessible it was. It wasn't like extremely violent or fan servicey, and so like I fell in love with it, and then I just started exploring and like found other shows that I really liked.
Absolutely, it is very fun-loving shonen kind of anime, and it's a very good introduction to the kind of anime world as well. And you mentioned it wasn't too fan servicey, but just looking at the backdrop, so your tastes have evolved over time. Let's say.
Yes, it's pretty interesting because like when I first got into figure collecting, which wasn't until early last year, 2021, I like saw my first bunny figure. I forget which one it was, probably 02 or something, and I was like, oh,
Sure.
this is interesting. I don't know if it's my taste, but after seeing it everywhere and like seeing how many varieties there were, Danganronpa was one of my favorite games, and Chiaki was my first 1/4 figure that I bought.
Stylish,
And
very nice.
yeah, and like she was just so cool. I love her as a character. I love her like in the game. So that got me started on 1/4 after I saw like how cool they looked. And yeah, here we are.
Absolutely no, and I'm so glad that you mentioned Danganronpa. So seriously, straight into the kind of mystery detective scene. Like obviously, you'll recognize the little
Aw.
Danganronpa crew that we have here. So
Nice.
or the little weeb merch that you collect over time. So yeah, have you seen that new game coming out based on the same design of Danganronpa? It's Master Detective coming out on
I
the
heard of
Switch.
it. Yeah, I have heard of it. It sounds really cool.
Yeah, definitely going to get into that. So do you find that you have much time for gaming at the moment, or is life work balance quite hectic and mainly into the purchasing stuff?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty like our work cycle revolves heavily around the events, and currently we're right in the
Sure.
middle of the biggest event of the year, the World
Yes,
Championship.
absolutely.
So haven't had a lot of time to play games. I do
Yeah.
play TFT here and there just because it's
Okay.
pretty easy to just play one round and then, get back to doing
Exactly.
other things. But yeah, between that and trying to like record for videos on the side, since it's
Sure.
really like just like a passion hobby project for me,
Mm.
I don't have a lot of free time.
I can imagine. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's better to be busy than bored, right? So that's at least that's something. On the video front, when you first started your kind of YouTube channel, so you just mentioned it as a hobby and passion at the moment, but obviously you've blown up. You've got a fan following. You've got a nice Discord as well. When you first started the YouTube, what was the kind of initial idea behind it? What did you want to upload and show to the world?
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. I used to be like a content creator on Twitch long time ago, like 2015, 2016.
Okay.
And I really liked the connection that you can build with like a community and like people with like-minded interests, which really got me into gaming and esports. But after I've been working in that scene for a long time, I realized I didn't really know anything about YouTube or like making videos, editing, and like I
Sure.
just really find enjoyment in learning new things and being creative. So when I first got into figure collecting, I watched a lot of the creators at the time, like Daijo
Yes.
Boo Boo and like Ken
Yeah.
Ken, wonderful creators like that. And I just thought, like, oh, I would maybe try to, like, learn how to make videos and, I don't know, just like showcase my hobby. I didn't really think or want an audience. I'm happy that it happened.
Yeah.
Really humbled that it happened, but it definitely wasn't the goal.
Well deserved though, well deserved because over time you kind of evolve your kind of releases and your kind of content matures as well. You've got that fan audience. I guess the really good thing about your channel is your kind of vibe. So it's a very kind of happy-go-lucky, really awesome, really kind of chill, just following along, and you can see the excitement as well. And I guess that's the real fun part of being in this particular community is that everyone. It gives you a kind of heartwarming feeling, seeing the unboxing, seeing the figure, seeing the excitement, the joy on your face. If tragedy happens, if you drop the figure or a piece breaks, all that kind of stuff. It's part of the experience that everyone goes through, right? When the figure arrives at your door, you've got the figure in hand, you open it up. Where do you display them? It really is that kind of fulfillment, and it's kind of like a passion project as well. Do you find that YouTube is your kind of creative outlet to, it's completely your channel. You can do what you want, the direction you want, the tone you want. Is that creative outlet, right?
Yeah, definitely. I create, edit, source, pick music for my like my videos. So it's like a full process. It takes a lot of time, but I do really enjoy the process.
Absolutely. So when you have the kind of idea, do you already plan how you want the kind of overall flow of the video to go in terms of composition, in terms of the things you're going to show, in the order, or do you just have a kind of concept, turn the camera on, and off you go and improvise and pure Joanne?
So I have a general formula that I follow. So like I film like my intro and outro pieces separate from the actual unboxings, just because I like to keep those separate and I like the
Yep.
focus of the video to be on the unboxing portion, on the figures and like how much craftsmanship and beauty is like in each of those products. So I try to make it less about me, even though I really enjoy it, and I love like just showing it off.
Sure.
But yeah, I typically like get the boxes. A lot of them are still sitting in my room right now, getting ready for the next videos. But so like I'll open it, and then typically I'll do like the unboxing portion, and then like the 360, view of the
Yes.
figures, and then
Panoramic
just
view,
like
yeah.
yeah, like detail views. And then I follow that general guideline for each figure that I show. I'm trying to think of like like when I have free time after this event is over, like maybe trying to like, I don't know, find some new ways to showcase the figures, or like,
Sure.
bring some kind of freshness to the video, because right now, yeah, it does follow a pattern.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what works. So for example, with Ken, I love Ken stuff. He's oh, it's like, yeah, I love watching his videos in the spare time. Great vibe, great dude as well. So what would you say is the main difference between the videos when you started and the kind of level you're at now? What would you say is the main things that you could notice if you look back?
Yeah, I would say that like I mean, I've upgraded some of my setup, so like a lot of my background has changed. I've also upgraded my camera, since like I used to have like a really old DSLR, which like didn't
Okay.
autofocus. Like it was a pain to like it was a real pain to film, and so
Yeah.
like upgrading the camera and stuff makes it a lot smoother, I guess,
Sure.
of a process. I would also say like I feel more comfortable talking about the figures, and like after doing a lot more research and having a lot of different varieties, I feel like it's just been easier to talk about what I'm looking at.
Sure, that makes sense to me, And in terms of, like you mentioned, you want the video to kind of stand alone. You want to show the beauty of the figure, the craftsmanship, the art, the actual idea and concept, and the feeling that that figure kind of conveys. But obviously on the side of that as well, a lot of your fans are fans because they've seen your amazing cosplay, and they're obviously following your Instagram, and you have some badass cosplay. I've seen them. It's not, that's not amateur level. That is fantastic stuff. So how much are you still into the kind of cosplay scene and those kind of events and general gatherings and the photography around that?
Well, thank you. I also got into cosplay as just kind of like a my need to like understand that world. Like I've seen a lot of amazing cosplayers, and like
Yeah.
I just always try to like learn, and like I feel like doing it is like the best way of learning.
Sure.
So I got into cosplay a couple years ago. I would say that I don't have as much time for it now, between all my other hobbies and my work obligations. But I am hoping to like still sprinkle it in here and there. So we'll see. I mean, I know a lot of people have asked to like incorporate it into some of my videos, so I'm
Yes.
thinking about that as well.
Absolutely diversifying the kind of look and feel and approach, and you're talented at both worlds, so why not combine them and see see what magic happens. Yeah. So just to put you on the spot then, so if you had to tell me your favorite cosplay, your favorite individual figure, i.e. if you could only keep one figure, all the others disappeared, and your favorite game as well, because you got the best of all worlds really, what would those be? Your favorite cosplay, your favorite figure, and your favorite game?
That's tough. I would say my favorite cosplay that I've done is probably Mikasa from Attack on Titan.
Yes.
She was really the character that I feel like I could get into the most, like
Sure.
feel in character, and like actually feel like I portrayed her well.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and if I could do it like in a more like outdoor setting, and like just bring more
Yeah.
justice to that cosplay in the future, that's something I would maybe try to redo. Favorite figure, that's really hard, because I have to think about.
There's a lot of attachment,
Let
a
me
lot of
see.
thought goes behind it. Do you go for a big scale? Do you go for one with a backstory that really is sentimental?
Right. Yeah. If I'm going sentimental route, I would say my Chiaki figure.
Sure, the first one,
Just
funny.
because, yeah, first bunny, one of my favorite characters. I think they did a great job with her. I also really like the Megumin E-string figure from Konosuba.
Oh
I
yes,
feel like of
yeah,
all the figures I've heard, this one like really portrays her and like her
it does.
magic, yeah, the best. So those two I think are my top two.
Excellent. In regards to the game, what would be the one game that you'd have constantly on and you couldn't drop it?
Well, I mean, League of Legends is the game that I was the most into at at any part in my life. I don't really play it that much anymore,
Mm,
but that really got that like kind of changed my life because after I started playing League of Legends,
I know what you mean.
I yeah, like it got I was so hooked on it. I was like at the time I was working at a software company straight out of
Mm,
college. I was taking a year off to like study for law school and like go back to school,
yeah.
but
Hmm.
my coworkers, my dear coworkers, introduced me to League of Legends, and I was like, sure, let's give it a try. I got hooked. I quit my job. I started streaming full time.
Wow.
Started working at Riot Games, and here I
That
am.
dedication.
So it changed my life, I would
Absolutely.
say. Yeah, that's my favorite game. I don't play it that much anymore, but
Mm,
if I had to choose a game that I love to play currently,
yeah.
maybe the Danganronpa series.
Yeah, yeah, no, I like the variety there. So you've got one which you're kind of immersed in the world of League of Legends, and once you're in there, right, you have the full the highs and the lows, and you know that what the whole ecosystem is like. So obviously this is a little bit personal, but what was the maximum level of saltiness and you've ever experienced in the game? What was that moment that you're like, oh, just head in hands, but you got to queue again because that's how it works.
I don't think there's like only one time, honestly. I do clearly remember. So like when I used to stream, and this is how I met my husband.
Sure.
He like joined one of my games, and like he's really good at the game.
Yeah.
He was on the opposite team because we were doing a custom lobby,
Okay.
and he was playing Nocturne. I was playing the support on my team, and he just kept killing our team over and over again. And I was so
Yeah.
salty because like everything that I tried to do to not die didn't work. And I was like, what is going on? This is not
Oh.
fun.
Oh, I know what you mean. Maybe that was a ploy. Maybe he did that to get your attention, so you couldn't forget that game, couldn't forget him, couldn't forget that imagery. He's planted himself in your mind.
That's true. I mean, it worked. Here we are, like 7 years
Good work.
later.
You've done well. Excellent. Yeah, and in terms of Danganronpa, obviously, I love that series as well. Have you seen anime as well of Danganronpa?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Which would you say you prefer, the game or the anime?
I feel like definitely the game I like more.
Mm,
I feel like it's deeper. I feel like you can develop a stronger attachment to most of the characters. Um, the anime, I really appreciate that it goes like it kind of expands the story and also provides like a background to the tragedy that happens, right?
yeah.
So I think it provides a really full picture to do both.
Yeah, no, it makes sense to me, and I completely kind of follow along that vibe because you know Steins Gate, Steins Gate. Yep. So I'm playing the master version on the Switch, which is why I haven't actually watched the anime yet. So when everyone talks about the Makise Kurusu kind of bunny figure and they're like the anime is great, I'm like, it probably is, but I haven't watched it yet because I'm only halfway through the game. But you get kind of immersed because you're actually playing it, right, and you've got to interact with it. You really do get that sense of attachment, and you kind of understand, and you really follow everything closely. Whereas when you're watching anime, it's obviously fun. I'm assuming you watch subs, right? So you watch the
Yes.
anime subs, yeah.
Yeah.
How is your do you know any Japanese? Do you
I
have any?
don't. I
Sure.
mean, I know a little tiny bit from watching
Okay.
anime.
Sure, sure, absolutely. The kind of weeb Japanese, the phrases, right, from the big
Mhm.
series. Excellent, excellent. So yeah, like I think that's the kind of difference between when you're playing a game and you immerse yourself and you interact with it. And obviously, if you keep playing it, it must be a great game. It must be a great story and gets you hooked as well. But there's the visual novels in Japan, which is not an area that I've touched yet. Have you ever tried any of those visual novels?
Of Steins Gate?
Of like anything like the Fate series or any of the kind of girly kind of visual novels where you obviously go through kind of text-based games. Have you tried any of those?
I mean, I think does Danganronpa count as one?
That's very interesting. Does is that classed as a visual novel? It's more of a mystery detective work. It's kind of like a puzzle, more of a puzzle game, isn't it?
The
Well,
the
yeah,
trials definitely, yeah.
yes, that was yes.
I played Doki Doki Literature Club, which
Okay,
I
that would
think kind
definitely
of counts,
that would
right?
definitely
Yeah.
feel like that.
That was a very interesting game. I did
Mm,
like it.
yeah.
Trying to think, have I played other visual novels? I do like the style of them. I didn't play the Fate
Mm,
series. Also started the Steins Gate game, but I
okay.
didn't finish it.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I don't think I've done
Yeah.
others.
Dibbed and dabbed, and yeah, gave it a go. That's cool. That's cool. And in terms of like, obviously, you're relatively new to the figure hobby collection, but your display already kind of looks immaculate, like in terms of a backdrop, how you're pushing things together. So what is your kind of thought process? Do you put the ones that are visually appealing together, or they have to be in the same series, or the ones you want to stand out because your favorites? What is the kind of design aspect of your current display?
I try to keep a lot of similar themes, similar series together. So like here, this is like my Shinobu shelf. Up here is more of my Eurocamp figures. Down here is like Pokemon. So I do try to keep them all relatively similar series currently, because like they tend to have really good aesthetically like cohesiveness, I guess, if that's a word. Yeah, and then like my bunny figures, I have some in the middle and then like over there off to the side as well.
Absolutely. And speaking of bunny figures, surely you've got Junko Enoshima on pre-order, completing your Danganronpa.
Yes. I think I have 2 of them on pre-order.
Two?
I think so, yeah. You never know. You never know.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that. And in terms of bunny figures, do you stretch out to the more diverse binding and the kind of more lewd and naughty ones, or you more happy with the character and the freeing variants at the moment?
So I have mostly the freeing ones. I think mostly because the binding ones are like you have to buy them direct through native, and then like if you don't really get them in pre-order, they tend to be pretty expensive on the aftermarket.
Yes.
So I think I have one binding figure, like my first one that I pre-ordered. I think it was like the Maria one with the wings. I thought it was really pretty. And then I think I have one other on pre-order, but I don't have a lot.
Yeah, makes sense to me. And on the topic of pre-orders, so are you one that when you see the figure, you need to pre-order it straight away because you know, right, as a keeper, I love that series, I love that character, I love that pose? Or do you take time to kind of work through the whole variety of pre-orders available and then carefully select it, not to overload your list? Because I know which type I am, but I'm keen to hear from you.
Definitely when I first started collecting, I was like, ooh, that looks great, pre-order. That looks great, pre-order. And it was like, yeah. And like after a while, I started looking at my list and I'm like, ooh, I got like 6 figures this month. I should probably cancel some of them. So I've been more selective recently.
Sure.
And yeah, now I have them more like I'll have them bookmarked on AmiAmi, or I have them like in a wish list or something and like come back to it. I try to come back to it before the pre-order period ends and like decide. But if I do end up like putting it on the back burner and then like miss the pre-order window, then I'm like, well, it's a sign that I didn't really want it that much.
Yeah.
So then I don't try to buy it. And then when it releases, I have to go through that process again. So
oh no, because it comes out and you see everyone like showcasing it and you're like, oh, I was really considering that looks really pretty.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I know the feeling there. So that kind of feeling, if we stay on that kind of theme, which one was the last one that you regret not pre-ordering that you saw when it was released?
That's a good question. Maybe some of the Arknights figures. I think there was like the Hoshiguma one that I was like really eyeing with the shield.
Hoshiguma, yes.
Do you have it? Yeah.
Right on the floor there.
Nice.
I've got it just below the arena one. I'm dying to open that one up, but I actually have 2 other Arknights ones I want to open up in the same video, but they're in the other place at the moment, so just got them together.
Nice. Yeah, let me know what you think about it, because I was really on the fence. Like I had it pre-ordered, I canceled it, had it in my like shopping list. I didn't end up buying it, and then now I'm kind of thinking about it. But I think that's like the only one, because like I play Arknights. That was one of the
I love Arknights.
Yeah, same. That was one of the operators that I got, and I was like really excited because a lot of the other figures that are out, like I don't have them in the game, so I don't have like any sort of real attachment. Yeah. So, but that one I was really considering.
And you're giving me kind of flashbacks and the kind of reminiscing now, because Hoshiguma was my first top level shield operator defense, and at the time, because I love tier lists and stuff like that, and for some reason she wasn't as high as Seria on the tier list, and I thought, why? She's badass, she's strong, she can destroy troops as well. But I used her from day one because she was the only top level one I had, and I used her throughout the whole game. You know, every content I always used her, so I knew I had to order her. But the thing with living in Japan is licensing for Arknights, being a Chinese company, is a bit dodge. So she was on AmiAmi, but it said not available for residents in Japan. So I had to order her directly from I think it's FNex or somewhere else who actually released her. So, when you go through the process of going to other sites and going through the effort to register, order her, then it's something that you probably do really, really want. So
That's
no hesitation for me. But on art nights though, this is a character maybe not everyone uses. That Schwartz figure, you've seen that Schwartz figure, right?
Yes.
Is that on your list?
Definitely on my list. I have it bookmarked. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but yeah, she looks amazing.
Yeah, she's expensive though,
Yes.
but that dynamic pose, and I did use her for a lot of content as well, so I had to put her straight away. Just reading between the lines here, you're more well behaved than I am. You've bookmarked it, which means you need to open it up again to see it, whereas mine are on tabs. I must have like 120 tabs open right now, so every time I open my laptop, they all pop up straight away in my face.
Oh no.
I've definitely gone a bit overboard. But the thing is, it's not all figures. Like, do you collect other stuff apart from figures? The kind of weeb merch, like key rings, acrylic stands. I've seen you got some tapestry war scrolls as well, music boxes. What is the range of the things you're collecting or actively looking for at the moment?
Yeah, definitely figures are number one. I have a decent sized manga collection that I'm trying to like also slow down. So I'm trying to get through all the manga that I have purchased before I like, start to cycle through some others. Wall scrolls, yes, I have a bunch in my room and I'm still trying to find like all the space that I need to put them up because they're pretty big. Like they're so easy to buy. Like, oh, this art looks amazing. This looks great. And then I just have a bunch and like I see some in your corner over there. Like I have like also a little collection where I'm like, I really want to display them, but I don't have space.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Joanne. Like I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. So that little wall scroll bucket there. There was a phase when I thought figures, I've got too many figures, I don't know how to display them, which is completely contradictory because wall scrolls take even more space. Times that box by 60. I've got 60 of those little boxes and containers, which I will show you post this video. But yeah, wall scrolls were my kind of big addiction at the time because they're just so beautiful. And it wasn't just the wall scrolls, I accompanied them with art books as well. I really like some of the creative designs, and even though they haven't been made into figures, some of the designs for some characters by these artists are astounding. You just look at it and you can appreciate the creativity to think about concepts and then the ability to actually make that drawing in one combined book, which are actually quite cheap as well. Wow. Are you into art books as well?
I like the idea of them. I don't own any of them. I'm like scared to start collecting new things because I like get really into stuff when I'm like excited about it, and like,
oh, you're so like me,
for my wallet I'm trying to be good.
yeah you hear in the community a lot, my wallet is crying, my wallet is screaming, why is it empty, all that kind of stuff, and it is so true. And I guess I unlocked kind of Pandora's box by moving to Japan. The sheer quantity of stuff that is now within my grasp that's available for me to get. I have 3 wallets. I'm not even gonna lie, I have 3 wallets. One is that day-to-day normal doing stuff. One is just holding lots of notes if I really want to splurge. If I go to Tokyo or somewhere, for like a weekend trip, which I just came back from, then I'll bring the big one. And the other one is just like a coin wallet for, it might be a coin purse or something, just for the arcades. So you just put your 100 yen in, and I love those grabbing machines as well. Do you play those kind of scenes? Are you good? Are you any good?
I don't know if I would consider myself good, but the one time I was in Japan, I spent like, I don't know, a couple hours in Akihabara at like the claw machines, and I was having the time of my life.
Amazing.
It was so fun, but I always had to have one of the attendants come and like help me because I was so bad at them. But I ended up always getting the prize.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, for first time and being in Akihabara, I love it. The guts, the confidence. You're like, can you help me out, Sumimasen? Put it closer to the edge, or reset it, please, or teach me how. Wow, you've got the moves, Joanne. I'm impressed.
I read up on it, and they were so nice.
Love it. Yeah, they really are. I will release another video. I think my second ever video on this YouTube channel was how to catch those claw machine toys cheaply, because my son and daughter now as well, they love those soft cuddly toys. So I'm always on the weekend out and about trying to grab whichever series they like and what they like. So I've mastered the art of getting them as cheaply as possible. So if you ever come back, we've got to go on a little tour of Akihabara or wherever. We'll get you loads of...
Definitely. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And speaking of your trip to Japan, so was that kind of just I'm assuming time off, going on holiday, exploring Japan for the first time, seeing all the kind of touristy stuff and sightseeing stuff? Like, what was the initial plan behind that trip?
Yeah, so in 2018, we had our last event in Korea, and
Mm,
I was there until the very end. And Japan is so close to Korea, I'd
cool.
always been interested in visiting. So we took a week to go to Japan. We stayed in Tokyo the whole time, and
Yeah,
then one of those days we were in Akihabara, which was so much fun. I loved the
sure.
vibes, and like
Mm.
unfortunately at that time I wasn't into like anime as much. Like I didn't know
Oh, yeah.
a lot of the different series other than like My Hero.
Yes.
Yeah, because that was like my first introduction. Like that was the year I got into it. So
Ah,
if I went now, I think it would be a different story. But
absolutely, yeah, because now you're equipped, you know all of the series, you know the kind of price points of the figures, what is rare, what you're kind of looking for. Wow, you'll be in serious Danganronpa mode, like analyzing, scrutinizing the whole shelves and
right, yeah, Mandarake sounds like it'd be so cool to visit.
Mandarake. Did you go to Mandarake when you went there the first time around?
I think I did, but I wasn't like I went with a friend and like she was really into it, so like I was
Okay.
just kind of accompanying her, but I didn't really understand and like it
Yeah.
was it's like a lot to take in. So
Yes,
yeah, I
yes.
didn't really know what I was looking at, to be honest.
Sure, sure, absolutely. And especially because if you did go in the Mandarake in Akihabara, it's a little bit overwhelming because it's like a single tower with a spiral staircase, and every floor is like a dedicated section, but the place you can walk is so narrow. So literally you're having to avoid people, and the shelves are stacked vertically and in depth as well. So you really need to know what you're looking for. You'll spend hours and hours in the in there
Right.
going through the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like there's another place as well that I highly recommend. In and around Tokyo, there's a place called Nakano Broadway. Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it, yes.
Yep. So this is this kind of indoor mall. It has several floors as well, but they've got I think three or four Mandarake shops and a lot of secondhand shops, and I really appreciate those ones because those are the ones you can really find the unboxed or slightly damaged figures for really premium kind of discount prices. And because it's in Japan, they take so good care of the figures anyway. Like if you're talking about box damage, but the figure is in pristine condition, they might even take like Ichiman 10,000 yen or something off the figure, and it's insane what you can
Wow.
find there. What's your
Yeah.
kind of thoughts on new figures against B rank figures against unboxed figures? What's your kind of take on that?
I am all for the pre-owned market. Like a lot of my figures I actually
Yes,
bought
love
just like
it.
secondhand and like
Mm,
even if there is like you said a little bit of damage or like it's marked as like a B rank, they typically look new to me and like
sure.
I personally don't really mind if there's like a nick on the box. Like it's not gonna affect my enjoyment of the figure itself. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that there is a pre-owned market, and it also gives me confidence that if, in the future, I fall out of love with something or out of this
Yeah,
hobby, like then I know that my figures can go to a good home at like a
of
pretty,
course.
yeah, like pretty easy, like navigation, I guess, of it, because like people are so into buying pre-owned figures.
Yeah, yeah. There's a big market, and the community is really, really good in that regard. And I really appreciate like what you said in regards to someone else can really enjoy and appreciate the figure because I think everyone has to admit that over time, because your figure collection grows and grows, there will be some figures that you're like, I really enjoyed that figure, I appreciated that figure, but maybe someone else, it's time for someone else to enjoy it, or you need to sell it, to make the space, or sometimes, financial decision. And it's quite a liquid market in regards to, as you mentioned, people appreciate pre-owned figures if you take good care of them. And a lot of the times, these figures, they are popular characters. They're fans all across the world. You'll always find someone who's willing to take that off your hand. But at the same time, I do find a little bit. It takes time to make those advert listings and find the right audience at the right price point, and especially when you really need to clear 10 figures because you've got 10 pre-orders coming. Space doesn't, it's not infinite, right? So
Right.
it's a big consideration. And bunny figures as well. My goodness, I
I
just remembered
know.
you you love your 1/4 scales.
I do. Yes, and I have sold a few of the figures that I don't feel like fit in my collection anymore. And yeah, it does take so much time, like just packing it up, making sure everything's clean, and like writing
Mm.
description for everything, sending out invoices, and like, actually taking it to the post office to ship. Like it's a lot of time.
It really is. It really is. But something that helps me pass the time, it's one of the little weeb merch that I've been really into in the past year is music boxes. So when I'm doing anime related stuff, obviously you can play it on YouTube and you can, do all the standard stuff to pass the time. But I really like winding up these kind of music boxes. So I wonder if you'll recognize this one. It's from one of your favorite animes, by the way. So there's this nice little music box here. You'll probably recognize it.
It does sound familiar.
I'm going to hide this image, by the way. I just realized that you could probably see.
I wasn't looking. Okay, it's very
He's courageous.
familiar.
Heart, put your heart on fire.
Oh, is it Persona? No.
Actually, that's a good vibe. You said Persona, but it's not from a game. It's from an anime. One of your favorite animes.
Now I feel
Tragic
dumb.
story. No worries. So this was the Kimetsu no Yaiba Rangaku from the movie.
Okay,
I think
okay.
one of the sad scenes, it might be when he passed away or something, but yeah, I'm really digging these kind of music boxes at the moment because it gives you that kind of childhood melody and a kind of childhood lullaby, and I feel that it really kind of tugs on your heartstrings. I'm sure you'll recognize this one. This is one that my little daughter really appreciates. A little bit old school, a little bit back in the day. Would have been on like Toonami, Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon?
I think for a brief period as well. Yeah.
To
do with Moonlight.
It's Sailor Moon?
It's Sailor Moon, yeah.
Okay. I don't know why, hearing it in that like musical box version, I'm like, I have no idea.
Indeed. Yeah, so I love playing these little kind of little tunes because I just feel that it brings back the kind of childhood memories of like when you first started watching anime and kind of getting into the scene, because it really blew up, I would say, in the last 5 years or so. Mainstream anime, My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, My Dress Up Darling. But before then, it was kind of a little bit divisive in society, right? Obviously, when some people really like it, there's kind of Western cartoons. Dragon Ball was always big. What would you say when you were younger? What were you exposed to in terms of the kind of anime scene?
Yeah, I think growing up, anime wasn't huge, especially amongst like my friends. But like I know Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, like that was all available on like they were like English dubbed, so I didn't even know they were like Japanese when I was younger. And like I was really into more like Western cartoons, so like SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Johnny Bravo, Powerpuff Girls, like that was my jam for sure. But I did love Dragon Ball Z, and like I think what else was really popular? It was like Gundam. I think Gundam was popular.
Gundam. Yes. I can imagine Gundam is very popular. Did you end up going to the different Gundam series? So I'm assuming it was Gundam Wing or Gundam Seed, or which was the Gundam that you watched?
I think it was Gundam Wing.
Gundam Wing, yeah, of course, in America, yeah, with Hiro Yuri. Speaking of which, I did have the Relina Peacecraft from Gundam Wing. I ordered her a while ago, but I didn't quite get the Hiro Yuri because I always thought he was overpriced. But only yesterday I found a damaged box version for, I think, 11,000 yen. So finally the Gundam Wing collection will be sitting next to each other.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but that was like an impulse purchase. Like I'm an absolute glutton for, oh my god, I want it, I need it, buy it. So I impulse buy like crazy, and obviously that's why I've ended up with so many things. What was the last thing that you kind of you had to buy straight away? You didn't put thought behind it. You like click it, but you're not sure now that it's actually something that you were like 100% need.
Actually, the last thing I impulse bought without thinking was the SpongeBob Nendoroid.
Okay.
It's so random, but I ended up buying 3 of them because I was like, because I like Nendoroids, but I don't like to like mess around with them once they're in their set position, and because they're so finicky, and like they always fall apart, and like I hate it when the arms pop off.
The worst,
So
yeah.
to combat that, I bought 3 different SpongeBob Nendoroids so I can display all the things I
Different
want.
poses, different
Yeah,
accessories.
without
That's
having to like.
amazing.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. So you buy the same figure to show the different variations. I completely understand. It's so fiddly, and I don't want to break it. It's hassle to move them around, but that's commitment. Free SpongeBob figure and Nendoroids.
It's my favorite childhood
Okay.
thing, and like I don't see a lot of really great SpongeBob merch. So like when
No.
I felt like those like kind of crossed, like the amazing quality of Nendoroids and my favorite Western cartoon, I was like,
Sure.
it was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. And actually, you're right. He is still very popular because isn't he released in that Super Smash Brothers kind of clone mimicking game? There's a game that comes out that's on that side of it, right? With SpongeBob in it, where he's a fightable
Is he?
character.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. Like they're trying to create this different version of Super Smash Brothers. It's got like Shaggy from Scooby Doo. It's got like SpongeBob. It's got like some Japanese characters as well. They're trying to make that kind of variant of Smash Brothers, whereas Smash Brothers is very Nintendo oriented. So
Right.
yeah,
Interesting. I'll have
still
to check it out.
still popular. Yeah, still popular back in the day. I'll probably main Shaggy or someone if I play that. I love my Scooby Doo and Mystery Van.
Scooby-Doo's
um,
awesome.
It is, yeah. Speaking of random purchases that I bought, right? I don't even know why. This just appealed to me. I thought if I could incorporate this into this kitty paddle from Fate Stay Night or something into some videos as my little scepter or my little weeb weapon of choice. But failing that, the little kids can enjoy it. So
Oh,
not even sure why I bought it, but it'll come in handy one day, I assume.
it's cute.
Um,
Yeah.
it's cute. These things I haven't actually done before, but these are called paper theatres. Do you know about paper theatres?
I've seen them. I've never made one.
So I wanted to kind of challenge myself. So I thought I'll do a video where I do some kind of talking on a particular topic. It could be to do with anime, to do with games or anything. But how do I spruce it up? How do I make it a bit more exciting? So I will be talking while trying to build one of these things. And I'm not the best with my hands trying to model stuff. So this is kind of really appealing to me because I think, it's going to take some effort to put these together. Might need some wood glue or anything like that. I'm already scared because I've just seen the back of that and how many pieces
Wow.
are involved in that. But
Yeah.
people watching along might enjoy the terrifying experience of trying to put this together.
Oh, wow. I hope it's not like super fragile because I feel like if you like rip something, that would kind of ruin the final product.
Oh, you're terrifying me already.
I believe in you.
Very-
You can do it.
I appreciate it. I've got your vote of confidence. That means a lot. Excellent. And in terms of kind of like displaying your figures, right? So I've seen some of the YouTubers. They're really good at their kind of lights, their kind of dioramas, their backdrops, even this faux fur. So I just bought a pack of this faux fur just to put underneath the bunny figure because I heard that the tights over time may get damaged. Have you kind of thought about how to upgrade the kind of display?
Yeah, so I do also have like that fur under like I know it's hard to see, but like in my bookcases I also have them like on anything that's kneeling,
Okay.
just to like preserve their, like the stockings and things like that over
Yeah.
time. I did install like lighting in my DTOL, things like that. I've raised some of them, like the one next to me that you can't see. I've raised some of them to like accommodate for more height. And I
Sure.
do have like a lot of the clear acrylic stands to like give it some dimension. In
Yes.
terms of leveling it more, I'm not really sure. I haven't thought about that yet. I do feel like I'm running out of space really, really quickly. So debating on like whether I want to switch out some of these shelves to get like shelves with more space, if they're taller, or like installing something on the walls. So we'll see.
Indeed, indeed. And one idea that I thought of that I don't think a lot of people have put into practice yet, because obviously there needs to be a market for it. But I really wanted to get into the kind of 3D printing custom bases, because a lot of the figures have this horrendous, massive, circular, boring bases. They don't even need them, but obviously they need to stand somewhere. So if you build those kind of custom bases, maybe a bit of paintwork, or get someone to do it, you can make some really interesting, like the Arc Knights figures, right? How incredible are those bases? And if you could do those kind of bases for the figures that you really, really like, wouldn't that really stand out, really pop?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I did actually purchase some like air dry clay to kind of start making, because
Yeah.
pop-up parades, like
Yes.
they're very notorious for like ugly bases that are huge.
Yeah.
So I tried or I didn't try yet. It's on my like list of things to do when I have more free time, but
Sure.
maybe it's something I can share with you when I'm actually like
That'd be
doing
great.
it. Yeah, but I do
I'd
want
love
to
to see it.
experiment with it.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Would you let people see the process as you're learning, or would you like to be more refined first before you show the world?
Yeah, I think it can be a either or thing. Like I used to
Mm,
do a lot of like work with like clay and like things like
mm,
sculpting and stuff a long time ago. So I have some experience in terms of like working with products like that.
okay.
I've never made anything custom for a figure yet, but I think
Yeah.
that's a really cool opportunity. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would just like go for it in a video. Probably not. I probably want to experiment first.
Yeah, makes sense. That makes sense to me. Like, and I can completely believe that because you expose your creative side already from obviously not just your video making and your kind of scene, but obviously cosplay as well. You make your own costumes, so you're really into the kind of creative aspects and working talented with your hands as well. So I imagine then any kind of base that you eventually come up with must be like really, really nice. Would you consider commissioning that? Would that be a side venture as well, or is it a personal thing?
Maybe. I mean, we'll see how well they turn out. And like, I don't make all of my cosplays. That would just take way too long. And my mom, she works in like fashion and like clothes making.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, so I had a little bit of a background help with
Mm,
that. And like, I used to commission actually like these little like mini figurines that I used to
okay.
make out of oven baked clay. So
Cool.
it's kind of bringing me flashbacks of that. And like, I don't think I have an example handy, but yeah, it'd be interesting.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, in terms of flashbacks, I did make a model clay figure back when I was still in Cambridge, UK. Do you know the series Hajime no Ippo, the boxing series?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yep. So I made a replica of a boxer, but I sculpted my own head on him to try to try to make my own little figurine. So that
Oh,
must still exist somewhere in Cambridge and maybe my parents' house. And I thought it was a pretty good effort. If I can dig out a picture, I'll show you. You might be impressed considering that I'm awful with my hands, but the likeliness is a little bit there. It's just not
that's
painted, so it's
awesome.
obviously
Yeah,
yeah.
that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel as though like YouTube is really, really good for allowing you to get your mind away from the world because obviously you're busy with your kind of day job. I do a lot of kind of software tech consultancy stuff, so it's really, the mind is constantly active. But when you're doing YouTube, it's related to your kind of passion and your hobby, and when you kind of have that outlet to present it, how do you kind of control what is the next video that comes out? Because for me, I've got so many things I want to do. So do you prioritize it in terms of what you want to do or what the audience wants to see or the latest kind of popular topic, or how do you plan ahead?
So I usually go by what's been sitting in my room the longest in terms of boxes. Um, Also, like with the kind of like evolution of my channel, like
Mm.
I do have like sponsor obligations as well.
Oh
So
yes.
anything that has a like a very hard deadline, I try to get to that first, which could then push back some of my other stuff. And like I have boxes here from like probably April, and it's what, almost November. So that's why there's like a lot of randomness in terms of my unboxings, where like some things could be new and some things could be from like forever ago, but like I just like didn't get a chance to open it until,
Makes sense.
recently.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. And in terms of that kind of sponsorship obligation, because I know there are a lot of YouTubers out there who just starting the kind of journey. So you mentioned the kind of deadlines. Is that a deadline in terms of they know what the video is going to be and they're wanting it released in a certain time frame, or do you suggest like I'm going to be making this cool video, I'm going to be releasing it at this time, and then you're just trying to stick to what you suggested to them? How does that process work?
So I think it depends on each like person or company that reaches out to you.
Hmm,
Um, I feel like typically for me, it has always been like they either pitch an idea or like they say like I'm gonna send you this. I need this to be
sure.
published within a month. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like it's whatever agreement that you and your
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah, partner like agree upon. But yeah, typically I would say, I mean, some I think partners I think are more open to like you pitching or like saying like, hey, I have a video that's like completely
Yeah,
free. Do you want me to talk about, X for 30 seconds or whatever? And then they just
sure.
like give you some pointers and then send you money. But
I love that.
so I think
That's
it
like,
depends,
send the
but
money.
generally, yeah, generally for like product based ones, they'll send you something and then give you a time frame of when they'd like to see
Okay.
it.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. And in terms of like the kind of final office kind of setup, so would you ever consider like getting more space for kind of dedicated area to do photo shoots? Because I know the figure photography scene is actually getting quite popular as well, and I've seen that Instagram picture with you with a massive camera. So is that an area that you want to you want to look at as well in terms of taking those, you know, really outstanding, stunning images and dioramas of the figure collections that you have to really showcase them?
I haven't really considered it. I think it is really cool that there is a lot of figure photography and that it is growing. Like, I think that's great. But for me personally, I don't think I would see myself getting really into figure photography. Like the giant camera, that's not mine. So as part of my job, I manage
Yeah.
our global photography team
Okay.
for
Cool.
esports, and like so I work with a lot of amazing photographers who have
Yeah.
camera and gear like that.
Sure, sure.
And they were just like, here, let me, like I just wanted to try it out, and then they snapped a picture, which kind of worked out for me. But yeah, I appreciate it. I don't think I would do it myself.
Makes sense to me. And what I'm really enjoying at the moment, I've got a little smirk on my face at the moment. So you're in a position where your network has like very talented people. So your mom's very kind of creative in the fashion side of things. You've got kind of photography, you know how the esports set up, the kind of production crews and production values, which all lends itself to kind of YouTube and your own personal channel. What is the thing, what is the talent or skill set that you're missing at the moment that you'd love to have someone to give you a hand or advice or experience in? Is there any area that you think I could really up my game there, or if someone could really show me how to do this, it'd be great?
Yeah, honestly, I am a really amateur like editor, like video editor. Like I edit all my videos, but it's so basic. Like I can't do anything cool, like I can't do anything flashy. So I think if I had like some time and like maybe someone to like really like go through some like basic cool things with, like
Sure.
I think that could really level up my like content game, and also just like being more dialed into like what's trendy, what's cool.
Makes sense.
I know
Yeah.
like short content, short form content is really
Okay.
popular right now. So like learning how to translate, like figure stuff into that.
Yep. Yep, that makes sense to me. In terms of the kind of editing and the time frame to make a video, what would you say are the kind of general high level estimates of how long does it take to shoot the clips, and then you get into the editing, how long does it take to edit, and then the post-production stuff like the descriptions and all the other kind of SEO around that? What would you say would be the general time frame for you to start to end to make that video?
Yeah, I did actually record myself, like not record as in like video record, but just like keeping track of like yeah, keeping track of how long a video takes me, and it's about 20 hours I would say per video. So about half of that time, like I would say like maybe 7-ish hours, like I'll spend just like putting together like the set, and just like, I mean, it's not a very elaborate setup or anything, but like just
Sure.
making sure lighting is good. I don't try to film a lot during the nighttime because I like to incorporate some form of natural light into my videos, and just like all of the different angles and things that you have to film. And like I have a display stand, but it's very slow, so it takes a long time to do like
To put it-
360s.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I make it go around a few times just in case something is off, like blurry or
Sure.
something, not in focus. So filming all of that content takes like about half the time, and then of course like getting everything uploaded into like Premiere Pro is what I use,
Okay,
and then
brilliant. Top notch.
yeah, I do a couple rounds of edits. So I'll do a first pass where I just like get rid of all the really easy stuff to get rid of, like idle time in between like opening something, or if I find like one rotation looks perfect, then I just like immediately cut the rest of that rotation.
I see.
And then I do about 3 passes of that just to make sure
Yes.
all the clips look good, and then I do voiceovers for just like talking about what's on the screen, and then I'll go film my intro outro and then edit that, and then I add in all the text and the music, and then the post-production stuff with like YouTube thumbnails and like pictures and descriptions. That takes about another hour.
Sure. Wow. That's a very, very good breakdown of the whole process. I'm seriously impressed, and you can tell from your kind of your videos, your channel, the kind of composition, and the audience retention must be high because it naturally flows, as well as listening to your commentary as well. I'd say that yourself, Ken, DTC reviews, our friend Derek. You can tell the production value. There's a lot of thought going into it, which makes me incredibly like envious somewhat. Like, I'm very impressed, but at the same time envious, because I think at the moment, in terms of the potential of what I can do with the videos, I'm very limited by time. As time is the most important thing. So if I was going to be completely honest, and I think people can probably realize it already, I probably have a week, maybe 1 hour to film something, and this is usually between 11 p.m. and 12 midnight, because that's when my kind of work shift finishes, because I work for a British company but I'm based in Japan because time differences are a bit dodge, so the midnight hour is my hour from Persona. And then so editing, I probably have 1 hour on top of that to edit. So if I need more than 1 hour or 2 hours, it would have to go into like 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, just to kind of get the editing done. And then the post-production, description, SEO, thumbnails kind of stuff. So a video from start to finish is probably around 3 hours, 3.5 hours for me. So it's a really
awesome.
really restricted time frame to do something that doesn't look absolutely pants. So,
Yeah,
but
I mean, yeah, videos take a long time, but I really do wish like I was maybe more skilled at like the process, just so that I feel like my time, like I do think I like enjoy the process. I love the whole editing process, even though it takes a
it's
long
fun,
time.
isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
like
fun.
I like filming, but I love editing more. So I think if I can invest more time into like leveling up my editing game, because like I've seen the really
Sure.
cool things that like Derek and
Yes.
like Ken can do, and I'm
Yeah.
like I Derek has reached out and like asked if I wanted to learn, which I do. I just don't have time.
The
So
time, understood. Yeah.
maybe in the holiday season.
Absolutely, no, I appreciate it. Derek's a lovely, lovely guy. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Derek. And in terms of kind of upping the game as well, so I have a game changer next year that will hopefully lift me from my 10% potential at the moment to hopefully at least over 50. It's subjective, it's not my call, but I'm building a house next year in Miyazaki, Japan. So at the moment, because I haven't got permanent right to remain, we have just a apartment, just a 2-bedroom apartment, and then this is actually an apartment 10 minutes down the road. It's a very small kind of office, it's cheap as chips. It's about, you work in dollars, right? So it must be about $400 a month for
Oh
this
wow.
office and a
Wow.
setup. But next year, hopefully get permanent right to remain, then the house is going to be built, and in that I'm going to say, this is my studio, this is my office, this is my workstation. I have the place to display the figures, proper setup, rather than scattergun approach, which I've got at the moment. And that's when I'll have the time to really kind of commit to the videography and the planning and the lighting. I have got some of the equipment, it's just it's a bit physically impossible to do in the limited space. But I'm hoping at that time as well, maybe if I learn any tips and tricks, perhaps just send them on. And it's similar in your vein as well. Any tips and tricks that you've got in recording YouTube, I'd love to hear them, because anything that can make the videos better, it really, content is king. People really appreciate that time and that thoughtful process. You can see it, and I guess that's why your followers are really, really interactive. Like, do you notice the same people appearing often on your kind of comment section on your YouTube videos, or do you see a lot of new faces? How is the response?
Yeah, I would say like when I first started making videos, it made me really happy to see the same people, and like I was able to like follow up and be like, oh, how is this going? How's that going? Just because I felt like it was easier to make a connection that way, and like it felt like I was building an actual community, which is really, really nice. That's something I just really enjoy about the internet. Like, there's a lot of bad parts about the internet, but it can also be great, So,
Yeah.
yeah, like even now, I feel like with some of the videos that kind of randomly get more popular than others, definitely a lot of new names, but I do always appreciate seeing a repeat comment, or like someone that's like very dedicated, and like it like I really appreciate that. Like, it's like for a lot of people, maybe it's like just like another name, and like I know a lot of people don't really even read the comments, but like I try to read every comment and like try to respond. I can't really keep up all the time, but
Yeah.
I do appreciate it. And there was always this fear of mine of like growing too big, like because I know when people are very popular they get a lot of negative, comments as well, like,
Yeah,
and it might
understood.
not even be based on anything, which like I wouldn't say I'm sensitive, like I'm not sensitive, but I don't really like to see like negative
Yeah, it
stuff.
affects everyone in a little way. You just don't want to see it. You can blank it out, especially from being a League of Legends player. You know how to put aside certain people, certain commentators, but it's just not pleasant to see in your day, right? It's yeah,
Exactly.
understood.
Yeah.
Yep. And speaking of those people, that you do enjoy seeing, is because they've kind of followed your journey from the start. So certain people who've commented on those earlier videos, when you weren't as well established, and are still with you on the journey, I think those are the ones you really come to appreciate, because I really do believe in that concept. If you weren't there for me when I was down, or when I was small, or you didn't want to talk to me or interact with me, and it's not just like fans, it could be collaborators and other people as well, right? When you reach out, if they don't respond to you when you're at a sub count, let's say, then when you are big, and hopefully everyone gets big, then and they reach out and come, you just don't forget those interactions, or lack of interaction, let's say. And then I do think as part of this scene, the connections that you make, and obviously the fans that follow you, and the forum to interact with is very important. So it's not just the comments as well. Obviously, you have the Discord, and some people like chatting there. I'm actually still very new to Discord. I'm learning how to do several of those bots and games and other things that people interact with. So how did you start that Discord? Was it your kind of idea just to gather like-minded people together, or?
Yeah. So I started it when I was still like pretty active on Twitch, and it was just like I think when I started streaming like 2015, Discord was pretty new. Like maybe it started popping up like 2015, 2016, something like that.
Okay, yeah,
And like
yeah.
so I was like really early into the Discord scene, because everyone like on the like in the Twitch community was like raving about it, and like how it like I don't know if you remember things like TeamSpeak and like things like
Yes,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, it kind of like usurped all of
Right.
that as like the way to connect, not only like voice but also like through text, and like building a
Yes.
community. I thought it was like pretty novel at the time, so I got into it pretty early, and then a lot of the people that are currently in my Discord are from then as well. So like we have so many years of history.
History.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's legacy at this point, yeah.
Mhm.
And in terms of like the reason why they stay along, so I think it's every YouTuber's ideal position, that it's not that they are interested in a particular video topic or a series or topic, but they want to follow you as a fan of you, because then no matter what you do, they obviously follow you on that journey, because they invested in you as a person, and you brighten up their day just by seeing their videos. How would you recommend that people who focus on one particular thing, let's say one series, Bleach or Naruto, got big in that, how do they transition into getting people to be a fan of them rather than just following their stuff because they like that series?
I think that's really tough. I would say a lot of the more like personality type, streamers or content creators, they have to develop like a brand or some kind of thing that they stand for, like
Yeah.
at the core of like who they are, for people to really attach themselves to. Like, because I felt like I ran into a little bit of that issue when, like for instance, on my Instagram, like most of it was based on cosplay, and a lot of my audience
Yeah.
were fans of cosplay. So like when I do other things, like I feel like I'm not giving my audience what they want, that kind of thing. But at some point I was just like, you know what, this is my channel, this is me
Of
and
course.
my life, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
post, like whatever represents me at the time. And whoever sticks around, they'll stick around, and whoever doesn't,
Yeah.
they don't. So I think just like being confident and like know who you are as a person, and then like whoever likes that, they'll follow you.
Exactly, because the journey itself is important, and you've got to be true to yourself and what you want to do and what you want to kind of present to the world. And even if it's like one step back in terms of existing subscribers or existing viewers, it's definitely two or more steps forward, because you'll gain new subscribers of the actual stuff that you want to present and they're actually doing. And if you have the confidence in yourself, your content is good, and I'd like to say if you're a good person as well, then naturally people will gravitate towards you, and you'll build that fan base, that ecosystem, and that network. And one thing that I think really brings people together at the moment in terms of anime figures is there's so much variety of figures available for me to purchase, because the amount of series, the amount of companies producing figures. For you, what are your top 5 pre-orders or figures coming out, or figures that you want to come out? What are the things that have the wow factor and you can't wait for them to be released?
I feel like there's so many that I'm really excited for. Let me think. There is a figure coming out, I think in January of next year. It's like the Hokusai swimsuit figure. I think it looks so cool. Yeah, like
so dynamic. So
yeah, exactly. And like I don't really like swimsuit figures, but for whatever reason, like that figure just has like kind of a full package for me. Like it's an interesting character, really cool base. Like she's got weapons. She's wearing a bathing suit, but it's more interesting than just a two-piece or whatever. Yeah, so yeah. That's one that I'm definitely very excited for. The Junko, her bunny sound like is really interesting. The SpongeBob Nendoroids, really random, but I'm really excited for those as well. And then there's actually a few resin figures, like resin statues, that it's not part of the, I guess, technical figure community, but there's like I think what is her name? Kanao? I think there's one of her. That's coming out that I'm really excited for.
Oh, is that on the pre-order list already, is it?
It is, yes.
Excellent. Excellent. So you've opened a forbidden door into the resin world then. So now any model that you like, you there's no hesitation. You have to you have to go with the flow. But they're huge. Where are you going to find the space to put all the resins?
That's a problem for future me.
Fair for another day. Just like pay later. Yeah.
Exactly. It's always in the back of my mind when I pre-order something. Where am I going to put this? Like, what do I have to move around to make this fit? Yeah. There's actually a Saber 1/4. I got her second Ascension version, which is a huge 1/4 and doesn't really fit anywhere. So I actually had to pack it away, which made me really sad, but I'm debating if I want to keep it or not, because it's beautiful, but it just doesn't really fit anywhere.
Is that the freeing one with the saber? Yes. I had the exact same thought process. Initially it was right there in the middle, but now I've moved it onto the side shelf because she's really pretty and it represents Saber and she's huge. But you're right, it doesn't fit, just doesn't meld with the other ones, because you've got bunny, you've got kind of sexy, you've got manly, you've got whatever you want, and then you've got Saber.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true. What about your partner? What does he think of your figure collection and your hobby? Does he have his own one, or
No, he's not into it at all. He supports me and that I'm into it. But yeah, he's always just oh, another package came for you today. That's the third one this week. And I'm I'm sorry. So he's okay with it, but he doesn't participate himself.
Okay. So let's say, for example, hypothetically, you've run out of room and the collection needs to spread out into the kind of communal areas that you and your partner share. Who makes the decision? Who wears the pants in the house?
So I'm trying to be really considerate and not let that happen. So I have this second room as my office. I work out of here. Most of my work is remote. So I work out of here. I've set this up as my office, and he's given me the entire space to do whatever I want, which I'm gonna respect that and not let it leave this room. We have little things like League of Legends, minifigures and things in the living room, but typically nothing leaves this room.
Makes sense. Speaking of League of Legends figures, then, so did you see that Miss Fortune and Lux kind of 3D painting thing? What's your take on those two releases?
I think it's interesting. I have seen some of the resin versions of that, which I thought were also very beautiful. But having an official version out, I thought the Lux one looked really, really nice. I'm not sold on the Misfortune one.
Yeah. Sure, makes sense. Yeah, I think is a little bit of a dangerous world, because if you start hanging stuff off the wall and they start producing more of these things, where does it end? All the wall space is going to be war scrolls, tapestries, war shelf. It's not just going to be like vertical on a shelf. It's going to be literally every space. I've got some white space on the wall.
Right. It's so dangerous because like I want to keep things somewhat like, I don't want to say minimal because it's not minimal, but like, orderly, organized looking. I don't want it to look like just too many things. Like I want it to look like a collection, like a cohesive one.
Yeah.
So I think it would get really, really dangerous really quickly.
Yeah, I can imagine. And just in regards to like the lines of figures, so League of Legends has so many characters and so many popular characters, people mains and whatever. What do you think about the companies not releasing the full range of characters? I'm always sticking to that one or two popular character like Rem, or like Boa Hancock or that kind of stuff. What do you think that in terms of commercialization, why do they not create the whole range of figures, the line of figures?
Right. I mean, I think at the end of the day, like this is a business that needs to make money, and even though there's like someone who's like a diehard fan of like, I don't know, the little dragon guy from ReZero Patrash or something, like he has a little figure that's like with him and Subaru, right? But like I don't think they would invest in like a 1/4 figure of that character just because no one's probably gonna buy it except maybe those two fans who are obsessed with it.
Fans.
Yeah.
Conversely then, what about the male figure range? Because there is a high demand for a lot of the husbandos, but they're not getting the love at the moment, right?
Yeah, and like I do hope that changes, in the future as more like figure collectors that are interested in male figures become like more vocal and like purchase the ones that are currently in the market or soon to be in the market. Like I know Alter just came out with like Giyu like scale figure, and like Gilgamesh finally was like released for pre-order. Like I pre-ordered those because like you said, there's not a lot of husbando figures, but I do think that's just based on like market data on like what people have purchased in the past, and hopefully as that trend starts to shift, then more come out in the future.
Indeed. What I found being in Japan as well, so when they do their research, a lot of it is predominantly on the Japan market, because obviously that's where they're based. But I think international tastes are slightly different. So in terms of husbandos, I can understand, the kind of Japanese otaku scene. They love their waifus and very protective of them. But internationally, you can see the kind of demand for the wide range of the figure collections. And I think that's where the space for the husbandos will really come in. If they open up a line of kind of sexy, popular male figures, or even like doesn't have to be sexy, but stylish, like in their suits or stylish whatever, butlers. I don't know. I will actually make a video, by the way. I want to deep dive into the world, like every piece of Japan. So I need to understand the boy love husbando scene. I need to understand the deep mind of the otaku, where they love the body pillows, the anime pillows, those Dakimakuras. I have no shame, so I will try everything just to kind of get a first-hand experience and feel of what feelings get evoked.
Yeah, that's very interesting, and like I do appreciate that even in Japanese culture, like there's so many sub genres of like things that people are obsessed with, like the Dakimakuras, like you said, and like dojins and stuff, right?
Yes. Absolutely. I think I mentioned it in the anime podcast. So like the categorizations of people is really, really unusual to me. The fact that they especially girls in Japan will categorize them by kind of condiment flavors. So kind of salty or saucy or spicy. What would you say your partner is? What kind of condiment fits his personality? Is he a spicy lad? Is he more of a salty lad? Is he a bit of plain Jane kind of salt?
That's an interesting question. I mean, he's definitely a very solid, like dependable like he's the financially responsible one in this relationship. Like if I need something, I can count on him. So something really solid, like
has to be salt then. Has to be salt. Always consistent, always available. Goes with everything.
Yeah.
Always there.
I can see that. Let's go with salt. But he's not salty.
No, not salty. Yeah, that's a clear distinction.
Mhm.
Yeah, indeed. Or I don't know what other flavors. It could be like sugar. It could be. Well, I don't know. I don't know that world. I'm going to leave it there for now. That comment. Yeah. So in terms of like kind of appearances as well, because obviously you're very very fashionable and you present yourself really really nicely as well. So is there kind of like a thought process behind the look and feel of yourself when you're on a particular video, or do you just have your own style and you just go with what you naturally look like?
Hmm. I would say, I mean, like I always try to be professional no matter
Mm,
like what setting it is, whether if, it's like a work meeting or, this podcast or like even my
sure.
videos, like I try to be presentable and also like be mindful of like who might be watching. Cause like when I used to
Yeah.
stream, my dad always watched my stream and and I'm just like, he probably watches my YouTube videos too. My sister tells
Oh,
me that
great.
like
Yeah.
she'll see my videos recommended sometimes, even though she doesn't collect, she doesn't follow the scene. So I do always try to be mindful about who could be watching, and I would say this is like very typical, like what I would normally wear. Like I don't really wear
Mm,
makeup around the house. Even like when
okay.
I'm working, like if I'm not working remote, I'm typically not wearing any makeup or anything. So
Sure.
that takes a little bit more effort.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of kind of parents, so I had this. I told my mum a while ago that for this birthday, I would be buying a gaming PC, finally upping my kind of productivity rate, no lag, open my billion tabs with no delay, get upgraded because I'm still working off quite an old Dell desktop to do a lot of my stuff. And I told her, yep, I'm gonna splash out, spend it, happy days. And then I was like, Prime One. I discovered the Prime One figure studios of all
Hmm.
the beautiful figures there, and I kind of got into Gantz. Do you know Gantz, the
Yeah.
series? So there's a beautiful Reika and Anzu Prime One statue figures, and like, oh no, expensive birthday, got a budget, PC figures, and I was thinking of the best way to kind of present it. I was like, why not get my mum and say, Mum, I finally bought my birthday present. And then instead of the PC, I was like, for productivity, I ended up with these two things. And as a classic Asian mum, she'd be, oh my God, Simon, what is that? What is that crap? It'd be hilarious. But
Oh
yeah,
no.
let's see the live reaction of a mum who's like super serious. She's like, all about, you got to be an accountant. Accountants make good money. Lawyers make good money. That kind of, vibe from the Asian
Hmm.
mum. So
Hmm.
she'll be like, what is this?
That's hilarious. Yeah, my
Yeah,
parents were the same. I mean, they were not happy when I quit my job to, pursue streaming
yeah,
full time. And like, I knew
mm,
long term, obviously, I didn't want to do that. I
sure.
love creating content and like developing relationships and like
Yeah,
making connections through content, just like based on interests. But I don't consider that something I would pursue full time ever.
yeah, understood.
So like I knew like where I wanted to work and what I wanted to do, and like my passions are in like creating content, but just maybe not for myself. Like I do like it, but like I also love helping other creators like grow, and like I manage an influencer
Yeah.
program, and like just seeing them grow makes me happy and feel fulfilled. So
Sure, absolutely. That makes
yeah.
sense. That comes from a really pure place. So your videos are informative, you cater for your audience as well. You want to make entertainment, right? Entertainment is a big factor of it because obviously it's not just about a tutorial like Excel
Mhm.
tutorial or something, right? It's
Right.
it's about building the kind of knowledge of a hobby, of a passion, of a thing that
Mhm.
you're really into, but other people are into as well, and they may not know because either you've got inside information or you've got your opinion on it. And I guess that's the really heartwarming part as well. The people value your opinion, right? So the fact
Mhm.
that they're watching your videos, unboxing, unveilings, it's your opinions and your perspective and your take on a particular series and a figure, and the people are accepting it and interacting as well, and you can get their point of view as well, right? And that's I think that is maybe the number one joy you get from the kind of anime and figure collecting community is the fact that everyone, regardless of status or whatever, they've got a work, they've got a voice, they've got a contribution to make, and you're just someone in that, but in a fortunate position where people, your opinion is slightly more valued.
I don't know about that, but but I'm happy that
Yeah,
people seem to enjoy like what I like to put my time
yeah,
into. I like that.
yeah. Yeah, no, that's really cool. That's really cool. And yeah, no, I completely appreciate all the time we spent talking about all these goods. I mean, the time has literally flown by. I was thinking why I was getting slightly hungry. It's because it's nearly lunchtime. But speaking of which, of all the goods, I picked up loads and loads of random goods. So I've actually got way too many goods here that I think I can show in this brief session. But I will offline show you like loads and loads of little random cute stuff that I got.
So cute.
Pokemon, kind of Kimetsu no Yaiba kind of desk, and a little coin purse, and many war scrolls. I will show you maybe about 20 or so. You tell me what, if anything, particularly catches your interest. Nice little Danganronpa Gachapon ball collection there. So lots of really fun. I'm sure you recognize some characters.
Yeah.
If I close up.
So cool.
So I will give you a selection of maybe 20 or 30 or so goods. You let me know what you like, and I'll send you a nice little Christmas box as a thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you. I mean, you don't have to.
No, I really appreciate it, and I had a great time. I mean, I love talking about the hobby in general, but obviously you're very pleasant to talk to, really easy and chill to talk to as well, which is always a bonus. And no, thank you so much, Joanne, for coming on the show, and I hope you enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely enjoyed it, and like anytime you want to talk about weeb stuff, I'm more than happy to.
Fantastic, music to my ears. And yeah, so once again, have a great day, and we'll speak very soon.